Personal finance practice problem using Excel. Coupon savings calculation. Prepare to get financially fit by practicing personal finance. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. If you have access to the Excel worksheet, would like to follow along, note that we're down here in the practice tab as opposed to the example tab. The example tab in essence being an answer key. Information is on the left-hand side. We're going to populate that into the blue area on the right-hand side. Information saying, assume savings due to coupons each month of $75. Amount saved after years 6 at a rate of 8%. So in other words, we're assuming that we're saving due to the use of the coupons $75. And we want to think about, is that going to be good compared to the number of time or the amount of time we're putting into it? In other words, there's a certain amount of time, of course, it's going to take to do an adequate job to get adequate savings from the coupons. That would be the opportunity cost that we're taking a look at, measuring out the time that we're spending to the savings that we have. One way we could do that is to try to think about annualizing the savings on the coupons and then possibly think about how much we could get or how much we can earn on those savings after some future time period. The other way, another angle to look at it is to present value the coupons to the current point in time and think about, say, 6 years of coupon savings, what it would be in essence in today's dollars. So first, let's think about annualizing the savings. So if I got $75 a month that we're saving with the use of coupons, we got the monthly savings. Monthly savings, we're going to say is equal to $75. Months in a year are going to be 12. Let's underline that by going to the font group and underline, and this will give us our annual savings. Annual savings being equal to 75 times 12 or $900. So $900 a year that we're estimating that we are saving. Next, we could think about that and say, well, what if I had that $900 a year and I put it in a savings account, which I was to earn 8%, a savings account or a mutual fund or something like that. So we can project it out into the future in that way, and we're going to say we put 900 each year for 6 years. Where would we be at after 6 years in terms of the future value amount? So we could say, all right, that would be the future value. We are using calculations that we took a look at in prior presentations when we looked at time value of money type of calculations. So if you want to spend more time and look at them in more detail, take a look at that section. And then we're using those tools anytime they're applicable going forward. So I'm going to say this is the future value or negative future value, shift 9. The rate, we're looking at that 8%, 8% on the rate, comma. Number of periods is going to be 6 years, we're assuming, 6 years into the future. That's an arbitrary number. We just said, what if we did it for 6 years? You could pick some other amount of years as well, comma. The payment is going to be the $900. That means that we would be at, after 6 years, $6,600 for the future value, which is totally spelled wrong. Future value. There we have it. Let's go ahead and run an amortization table so we can see that in a bit more detail. To do so, I'm going to say 1, 2, then copy that down, selecting those two cells, putting our cursor on the fill handle, dragging down to 6 periods. Then we will go to the alignment and center the alignment. Now remember, when you look at this kind of amortization table, that can be confusing as to whether you should start on period 0 or period 1. An annuity typically starts at the end of the first period, so you're going to be starting then on period 1. We will then pick up the payment, which is going to be $900 each year. And then I'm going to say the balance is equal to that $900 as well. We're going to earn the increase, which would be the interest or the earnings on the investment in period 2 now, which is calculated as the prior balance, $900, times the rate, which I'm going to pick up at the 8%. I would like that to be an absolute reference because it's outside the table, and therefore when I copy it down, I don't want it to move. So I'm selecting F4 on the keyboard, $ before the B and 6. You only need a mixed reference, but an absolute one works. Tab. Then the $900 is going to be the same. I'm going to say equals that 900. That's also outside the table. Therefore, I will make it absolute, pressing F4 on the keyboard, $, but before the E and 4, you only need a mixed reference, but once again, the absolute works. Then we're going to say the new balance is the prior balance, the $900 plus the SUM sum, shift 9, left arrow, holding down shift and selecting both of those items, closing up the brackets, 900 plus 72 plus 900 and enter. Let's do it one more time and then we'll use the autofill feature to copy it down. So now we have the 1,872 times the 8%. We're going to copy it down for reals this time. So we're going to select F4 on the keyboard, $ before the B and 6, so that cell does not move down. Then we'll pick up the payment, which is going to be equal to the $900, the same payment each time. That one also outside the table here, and therefore also something we don't want to move down. So absolute reference, F4, keyboard, $ before the E and 4 and tab. Then we're going to say the balance is equal to the prior balance plus the SUM, the sum, shift 9, left arrow, holding down shift, left again, shift 0. And so we have the 1,870 plus the 150 plus the 900 and enter. Selecting those three cells, putting our cursor on the fill handle, dragging it down to 6 years. We then get to that end result of the 6,600. We get a better idea of the increase, the earnings that would be taking place. Let's go ahead and total up those earnings so we could see what they are in total. Equals the sum, SUM, shift 9, up arrow, holding down shift, up, and enter. We have then the 1,202. I'm going to put my cursor on the fill handle, dragging it to the right. So the total payments that we put in would be the 5,500. So these would be the savings from the coupons. These would be the earnings we made over that time frame. Now, you might also say, well, wait a second. These are earnings that are happening, in the future. So maybe another way you could think about this is to say, well, if I'm earning $900 over 6 years, I should be discounting it back. And I can look at it instead of as future dollars of what I will be at after 6 years, 6,602, if we weren't earning an 8%, bring that back to today's dollars. Meaning if I do this for $75 a month for 6 years and I earn 8% a year on it, could I take that annuity and bring it back to how much in terms of today's dollars would I basically be earning if I have a discount rate of the 8% that I'm going to be discounting it back for? So in that case, we could say that would be a present value calculation, present value. And so I'm going to take the present value of the annuity of this $900 and bring it back to the current time period and think about it in today's dollars at the discount rate of the 8%. So we're going to say, all right, that would be negative present value, shift 9, rate is going to be the 8%, comma, number of periods is going to be 6, comma, the payment is going to be the $900. We're looking at the annual payments and enter. So we have the 4,161. And then we can also think about that. Well, this number right here represents where we would be if we were to be earning 8% on the $900 annuity after 6 years. That is one number that I can then bring back in the same fashion using our present value calculation just to practice so we could see this from different angles. So in other words, if I said this was a present value of 1, then of that 6,602, I should get back to that 4,161. So let's do a negative present value, shift 9, rate is going to be that 8%, comma, number of periods is going to be 6. So we got 6 periods and then comma, and then the payment, we don't have a payment because this is not an annuity, but present value of 1. So 2 commas, future value is that 6,602 and enter. And so there we have it. And we get back to that 4,161. So in other words, if you think about it, you could say, well, if I was to do this for 6 years and pull that back to today with the discount rate of the 8%, we'd be at the 4,161. Now this discount rate, this includes opportunity costs. So you might say, what if I just include, say, interest, time value of money, which would be between like 1 and 3%. Like you could change this to like 3%. And then you're taking into consideration just the decrease in like the value of the purchasing power of the dollar. Now, also note that we kind of estimated this to be annual. You could do it on a monthly basis, just so like if I did this future value monthly, so that we're compounding monthly, it would look something like this: negative future value, shift 9. The rate would be the 8%. Then I'm going to say divided by 12 to get the monthly rate, comma, number of periods would then be 6 times 12 to do it on the monthly basis. And then, comma, the payment now would be the monthly amount that we're saving, which would be the $75 instead of the $900, the yearly amount. And then we'd have the $6,902. It's going to be different due to the periods being monthly instead of yearly. And so let's go ahead and just check that out. And you could also do that with the present value calculation. So you could say PV monthly, negative present value, shift 9, rate is going to be the 8%, but that's a yearly rate divided by 12 to get the monthly rate, comma, number of periods would be 6, but those are years, and now we're talking months, so times 12, and then comma, the payment, not 900 now, but 75 on a monthly basis, and enter, and we get the 4,274 instead of this number here. So those are just a few ways to kind of use these tools to look at these, anything you're looking at that's going to be impacting future periods. Even if you're looking at small amounts and you're saying, hey, this is a small savings on a weekly basis. If you then look at it in terms of, well, what's going to be the savings on a monthly basis? How much could I earn on it if I was to be saving on it? Then you can get, a better perspective possibly of it. And then possibly with something like this, which does take time, if you have the time to do it, then it could be well worth the time. The question is time value of money with regards to it as well. The opportunity cost of putting the time in to do the coupon gathering well in such a way that it's going to yield benefits, and then measure that against the time that's being put in.